Okay, so today the focus is taking this general plot outline that outlines a very brief roadmap in a couple of sentences each, how your story begins and ends. Now we're going to expand it out onto a larger, more detailed plot outline. The reason why we're doing this before we start writing is because the more events you have mapped out, the more stops you have on this journey, the more detailed your actual writing is going to be, because once you expand it with description and dialogue, you're going to be amazed at how much writing you're going to squeeze into this. Now, the plot line that we've downloaded is 4 pages long, but it's meant to look like a regular plot line that fits on a single page. The reason why I've mapped it out onto 4 pages is to make it easier and give you guys more space to write down events. So here's a sample plot outline. If those 4 pages we're working with over the next few classes were fit onto one picture, it would look like a much more detailed version of this with different text boxes for exposition, inciting incident, about 6 for the development or the rising action, and then 1 for the climax. I give you about 5 for the falling action, and a big slide for the resolution. So coming back to what I'm talking about, that's these pages. So plotline part 1 is the exposition, and if you look, it's like that flat line there is like the first line of the plot line. And then we have the inciting incident, which begins our rising action. Event 1, event 2, event 3, all the way up 4, 5, 6 to the peak, which brings us to plotline part 3, the climax, which is that turning point, and then the falling action. And we have room for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 text boxes there. And then the last page is a nice long area for you to write your resolution on that flat line, or on this text box in the flat line. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to get some general ideas from this slide onto your plot line to get started. I'm going to pause so you can see the finished product. Okay, boom, like magic, I filled in my plot line. It's not very padded out though. There's not a lot of writing, but if you take a look, I've got something for my exposition and inciting incident. I've got 5 out of 6 things written for plotline or for my rising action. On the next page, I've got my climax and I've got my falling action. And on the last page, I've got a little bit written for my resolution. As you can see, there's a whole lot of space left in a lot of these boxes. So I'm going to put more details in there. But you might be wondering, how did I get it filled in so fast? This is not cheating. I used copy and paste to get the ball rolling. Up here in your plot outline, you've got all 6 things laid out in general sentences. What I did was I went to my exposition, copied and pasted what I had there to get me started. I'm going to add a whole bunch more writing in here, but now I've got something written to give my mind a jumping off point. Same thing for my inciting incident. Coming down to my rising action, I've got 6 events here. And then in my rising action, I didn't just copy and paste everything into one box. If you look, my rising action says James is annoyed by Charlie's good nature. Sometimes he exploits him and sometimes he stands up for him. He sees that Charlie has a lot of visitors but not family, wonders why Charlie tosses and turns at night. So this is everything I could think of when I was coming up with my general outline. But then I looked, and as I'm doing my plot line for my rising action, I took pieces of that and put it right in order. So coming back here, it says James is annoyed by Charlie's good nature. That's event number 1. Sometimes he exploits him and sometimes he stands up for him. I split those into parts 2 and 3. So if you look, after my inciting incident where they meet and become roommates, we have James is annoyed by Charlie's good nature. Number 2, sometimes he exploits him, sometimes he stands up for him. And if you follow the line where these call outs are coming from, here's event 1, there's event 2, there's event 3. See, number 4, he sees that Charlie has a lot of visitors but not family. Number 5, he wonders why Charlie tosses and turns at night. there's a lot of space left in these text boxes. I'm going to play with this text size too. I'm going to make it smaller. I'm going to take the bold away so I can fit more words in here. I have a sixth event that I should come up with, but now I've got the ball rolling. Like in plot line 3, I copied and pasted my climax. James discovers who Charlie really is by discovering Charlie's journal. And then I did the same thing. I pieced out the stuff that I had already in my outline and put it there to get me started. James becomes receptive and starts talking to Charlie about his past. They find out that they had the same kind of childhood. Charlie is still deteriorating. James takes Charlie on a group outing to a farm. That's kind of a call out to the original, where Charlie, as a kid, always wanted to go see cows in person because he grew up in the city. His dad promised him that he would, but never did because his dad was kind of a deadbeat. And then step 5, I gotta put something in there that ties in the ending because my resolution so far, like I said, more detail will be added, but at least now I know what I need to have in here. Charlie's going to die. James is going to get discharged from the hospital. He's going to take Charlie's ashes and bury them next to Charlie's best friend Algernon. He is immediately going to take the train north, and I'm thinking it's going to end with James walking down a road and stopping to look at the cows and then kind of thinking about his future. A lot of stuff to still add in here, but at least I have my reference points. I know where to begin and what details to add. And what you're going to see next when I've padded this out and added more writing over the next couple of days, you're going to see a really detailed story from start to finish, all laid out on this plot. Thank you for listening.